your dreams.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video, and today I'm just going to be talking about the upcoming Genshin 4.4 characters. You are going to be seeing this video most likely on a Thursday, a day before the official announcement, so this information is coming from leaks. If this information is incorrect, then I'll just redo the video. I'm basically going to be talking about Cloud Retainer, Xiao, Yae Miko, and Nahida, and just go over my thoughts about these characters, and then you as a player can decide whether you want to pull for these characters or not. By the way, if you happen to like the content, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I'm trying to get 9,000 subs by the end of 2024.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
Yes, that's right, 9,000. So the first character I'm going to be talking about is the hot new character, Cloud Retainer, or Xianyun, whatever you want to call her. There has been a lot of Doom posting about Cloud Retainer. However, every character has at least some form of Doom posting, some more than others. Cloud Retainer seems to have a little bit more than other characters. I'm just going to tell you straight up that Cloud Retainer will be a plunge buffer and a plunge enabler. Do not bother pulling for her if you do not care about plunge, if you don't have Xiao, if you don't have gaming built up, or if you don't want to build other characters for plunge. She's going to be an easy skip. That's basically all there is to it. If you care about plunge whatsoever, she will be worth pulling for. She is going to be a great boost for Xiao. I don't know how much of a damage increase she will have for Xiao, but it will definitely be a damage increase since Xiao's main forte is plunge damage and Cloud Retainer boosts plunge. I do think she will be worth pulling for Xiao. If you are a Xiao veteran, you are most likely already clearing shit with Xiao anyways. You most likely have him with higher constellations since you really like Xiao that much. Even if you are a Xiao veteran, I do think Cloud Retainer will still be worth your pulls. If you're already clearing shit anyways, then pulling for Cloud Retainer isn't gonna fuck everything up. Since Cloud Retainer is gonna enable other characters to plunge, I do think other characters will also get a boost. For example, Diluc. I know some people do utilize a plunging glitch for Diluc, which they call the Dragon Strike Diluc. But with Cloud Retainer coming out, since she enables you to plunge, you no longer really have to glitch with Diluc in order for Diluc to deal more damage. You could basically just run Cloud Retainer with Diluc, and your Diluc will be doing a shit ton of damage. She will also enable meme comps. You can maybe enable Dragon Strike Dory, Dragon Strike Xianyun. I do think gaming will also run alongside her banner. I am not 100% sure on that. Or gaming, I'm gonna just call him gaming for simplicity's sakes. Anyways, even if gaming is not going to be on Cloud Retainer's banner and instead will be in Xiao's banner, you can get gaming for free. He is a 4-star pyro version of Xiao. So if you are a new player, maybe rolling for Cloud Retainer could be worth your pulls, since Cloud Retainer is also a healer as well. If you're struggling in the Abyss because you lack another healer, I do think Cloud Retainer would be worth pulling for that instance, since she is a healer. And since you can get gaming for free, you do have a pretty decent 4-star DPS character. And with Cloud Retainer in your account, that 4-star character gaming will deal even more damage. Cloud Retainer being a healer does give her more value, since you do need healing in order to be kept alive unless you have Zhongli in your account. If you need another healer, pull Cloud Retainer. If you care about plunge, pull Cloud Retainer. If you don't care about healing, or if you don't care about plunging, then she's an easy skip. That's it. I do want to talk about Cloud Retainer's weapon real quick. This weapon is kind of ass. That's mostly because Cloud Retainer is the only character that can use this weapon. So if you do care about Cloud Retainer and boosting plunge damage, I would definitely recommend you pull this weapon. However, you do have other options like Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer or some ER weapon. The weapon basically increases plunging attacks of your party members, and if your party members do plunging attacks, they basically restore energy for Cloud Retainer. I do think Cloud Retainer will have some energy issues. This weapon basically fixes that, because whenever your characters plunge, they restore energy for Cloud Retainer. Cloud Retainer can only use this weapon. No other character can enable plunge, so this weapon will be useless on any other character except for Cloud Retainer. So I would recommend you don't touch this weapon banner unless you do have Cloud Retainer. Also, never touch the weapon banner unless you do have the necessary funds money in real life to pull on the weapon banner. The character that should be running alongside with Cloud Retainer is going to be Nahida. Nahida is one of the best Dendro characters in the game. In fact, I would argue that a Dendro team is incomplete without Nahida. Nahida's elemental skill basically marks the enemy, and when you trigger an elemental reaction, it'll basically trigger a Dendro attack on the enemy. This elemental skill basically allows you to apply Dendro to the enemy while Nahida is off field. Combining Nahida's elemental skill with any other character's element will basically deal a shit ton of damage to that enemy. Of course, as long as the elemental reaction is related to a Dendro reaction. Nahida's elemental burst basically corresponds with her elemental skill depending on what type of party members you have. If you have a Pyro member present, the damage from the marked enemies will be increased. If you have an Electro character in the party, the intervals of the damage will be decreased, which basically means that the enemy will be attacked more often. And if you have a Hydro character present, the duration of her burst will last a few more seconds. One of Nahida's first passives basically increases your party's elemental mastery whenever Nahida uses her elemental burst. And that elemental mastery increase is basically dependent on whoever has the highest elemental mastery. And since Nahida does scale off of elemental mastery and you do need to build EM for her for Nahida to deal more damage, Nahida is most likely going to have the highest elemental mastery of your party. Since the damage of Dendro reactions is basically based off of your elemental mastery, this makes Nahida a monster. The damage that Dendro reactions have is crazy thanks to Nahida. With the constant application of Dendro and the elemental mastery increase coming from Nahida, Dendro reactions with Nahida on the team become even more devastating. Nahida's damage could even be even more crazier if you have her at C2. Nahida C2 is probably one of the best C2s I've probably ever seen. Nahida C2 basically allows Bloom reactions to crit. Bloom reactions normally don't crit, but with Nahida at C2, you can make them crit and thus deal even more damage. Nahida C2 also provides a defense decrease to enemies if you're using a quicken reaction. If you do have Nahida at C0, it may be worth to get her C2, depending on how often you use Nahida. Overall, if you want to invest in Dendro, I would definitely recommend you pull Nahida. In the second half of Genshin 4.4, we should be getting Xiao and Yae Miko. I don't know if I have too much words for Xiao since I don't really have him, but I did play him on a free-to-play account once. When it comes to DPS characters, Xiao is kind of rated lower than normally, and that is mostly because other reactions are just generally better, especially Vape and Dendro reactions. Vaporize just has high fucking multipliers. Same thing with Dendro reactions, they just have high fucking multipliers. Another reason why people don't really like Xiao is that he's going to be hogging the field for a long fucking time. That is mostly because his main source of damage is going to be coming from his burst. When Xiao uses his burst, he has to stay on the field, because if you switch him out during his burst time and switch him back in, he's basically going to be off his burst mode. A few people do see this as an inconvenience. A way to play around this is basically use your character's buffs first and then switch to Xiao, use his burst, and then, you know, deal a shit ton of damage. I forgot to mention that in his burst, he's basically doing plunge attacks. So if you don't like the plunge attack playstyle, then you probably shouldn't be pulling for Xiao. I do think Xiao is going to get a very huge boost from Cloud Retainer. However, it is going to come at a cost. That cost being your Primo Gems. Since they're both Animo characters, they can both battery off each other. Cloud Retainer can heal, and whenever Xiao uses his burst, he is going to drain his own HP over time, so Cloud Retainer can synergize with Xiao pretty well. So if you do want Xiao to deal the most damage as possible, you probably should pull for Cloud Retainer. Anyways, if you want a new DPS and you're a big fan of the plunging playstyle, then you should probably pull for Xiao. Last and certainly not least, we got Yae Miko. I have a lot to say about her, but I do want to congest this video. Yae Miko is basically a quick swap character. I say quick swap pretty loosely because she does need to be on the field a little bit longer than most quick swaps. Yae Miko's main source of damage is going to be coming from her elemental skill, her 3 electro turrets. Her elemental burst can also deal a shit ton of damage, but the most of the damage you're going to be seeing from Yae Miko is going to be coming from her elemental skill. Her elemental skill can be used off field, so you can use the 4-piece golden trope in order to increase the damage of her elemental skill. Whenever you use Yae Miko's burst, it does reset her 3 totems on the field, so you do have to reapply the 3 totems right after you use YaeMiko's elemental burst. YaeMiko's elemental skill will scale off of her elemental mastery, so having a elemental mastery timepiece for YaeMiko wouldn't be a bad option. Her best teams are most likely going to be Hyper Bloom or Aggravate, since those Dendro reactions deal a shit ton of damage, and they can even deal even more damage if you have Nahida on the team. Nahida can also boost elemental mastery, and since YaeMiko's elemental skill does scale off of EM, they both work pretty well together. YaeMiko also works really well with the Raiden Shogun, since the Raiden Shogun can help battery YaeMiko. YaeMiko's burst does cost 90, it's one of the highest in the game, and Raiden Shogun also does boost your elemental burst damage, so YaeMiko's elemental burst can deal even more damage with Raiden on the team. YaeMiko can also work pretty well in Taser. I don't know how popular Taser is nowadays, since Dendro basically changed the game. Overload recently got a new buffer through shove reuse, so if you want to use YaeMiko in Overload, she can work pretty well in that as well. Overall, a very decent electro quick swap character. You can basically just level up her elemental skill and her burst. You don't even have to touch her normal attacks, and this is coming from somebody that has crowned everything. I do want to talk about the weapons that these banners will have real quick. I am not 100% sure of the banner order. I did say before that I think Cloud Retainer and Nahida will be the first half, and Xiao and YaeMiko will be the second half. I don't know how true that will be. I did talk about Cloud Retainer's weapon, so I will talk about Nahida's weapon first. I do want to remind people that you shouldn't pull on the weapon banner unless you have real life money available. Nahida's weapon will basically increase Nahida's elemental mastery if there's another Dendro character in the party. If there are other characters in the party that are not Dendro, it will basically increase the Dendro damage from Nahida, and the weapon will also increase the elemental mastery of your other party members. A very good weapon on Nahida. It does have elemental mastery as a sub stat, so that's even more elemental mastery for Nahida. YaeMiko's signature weapon, on the other hand, it does have the crit damage sub stat, so it is a pretty decent stat stick if you want to use this weapon on another Catalyst DPS character. This weapon will basically increase the wielder's elemental skill damage if you use the elemental skill at least 3 times. Since YaeMiko can use her elemental skill 3 times pretty quickly, YaeMiko is the only character that can make use out of that passive. However, the massive crit damage substat is basically the only reason you would be pulling for this weapon for other Catalyst characters. A great weapon for YaeMiko and a good stat stick for other Catalyst DPS characters. As for Xiao's weapon, I do believe it'll be the Primordial Jade Spear. A lot of Xiao players, however, tend to use the Homa on Xiao, and that's mostly because the Primordial Jade Spear does ascend, or it doesn't ascend, it does have the crit rate substat, and Xiao himself does have the crit rate ascension stat. So since Xiao is getting a lot of crit rate anyways, a lot of players tend to use the Homa on him instead, since the Homa does have the crit damage substat. And getting crit rate on Xiao shouldn't really be that much of an issue since he does ascend with the crit rate substat. Primordial Jade Spear is a pretty good DPS weapon though, so you can use it on other polearm characters. I do use it on my Rosaria, so if you need more extra crit rate on your DPS polearm character that's not Xiao, then you could probably, use the Primordial Jade Spear. TLDR, if you need a healer and you care about plunge, you want to plunge with other characters, pull Cloud Retainer. If you want your Dendro comps to be even more powerful, pull Nahida. If you want a new DPS and you want to play around with the plunge playstyle, pull Xiao. And if you need an electro quick swap wife, YaeMiko, pull YaeMiko. That's going to be the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who are you going to be pulling for in Genshin 4.4? And I'll see you guys later.
Bye bye now. Come again soon.